Hey there! If you're running a business, you know the last thing you have time for is confusing insurance paperwork. It can be a real headache, right? Well, today we're going to demystify one of the most important forms out there, the Acord 130. We're going to show you how to master this thing and turn it into a tool that actually saves you time and, more importantly, money.
So, what's the big deal with one form? Well, the truth is, a few simple mistakes or omissions here can lead to some seriously frustrating delays, maybe even higher premiums, or, worst case, an outright denial of coverage. We're going to walk through exactly how to dodge all those bullets and get it done right the very first time. So, what exactly is an Accord 30? Basically, it's the universal standardized application for workers' comp insurance. You can think of it as the official handshake with an insurance company. Its whole purpose is to make sure everyone, your agent, the underwriter, the carrier, is speaking the exact same language. It gets your story across loud and clear. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics, who you are. Then, we'll dive into the real heart of the form, where the numbers get crunched. After that, we're going to tackle those critical yes or no questions. And finally, I'll show you how to prove you've got a great track record. Let's get into it. All right, let's dive right in with page 1. This section is all about getting the absolute basics down. It's the who you are part of the application. And while it might seem straightforward, getting these details 100% correct is absolutely critical. So on this page, you're going to put down your official business name. And listen, it has to match your state filing exactly. No nicknames, no abbreviations. You'll also add your address, how long you've been in business, and your entity type, LLC, corporation, and so on. All important stuff, but one of these fields is the absolute king. And that is your Federal Employer ID number, or your FEIN. I cannot stress this enough. Your FEIN is everything. It's the unique identifier carriers use to track all of your submissions. A single typo, one wrong digit, and your application could get blocked or flagged as a duplicate. That stops the whole process dead in its tracks. So please, double and triple check that number. Okay, moving on to page 2, the state rating worksheet. Now, this is what I call the heart of the form, because this is where the real math happens. It's where your premium is actually calculated, and it all boils down to your payroll. Now, to really get this page, you first need to understand something called class codes. A class code is just a number that represents a specific type of job. For instance, code 8810 is for your low-risk clerical office staff. But something like 2710, that's for a sawmill operator, much higher risk. These codes are how the underwriter literally calculates the risk involved in your business. And here's what it looks like in action. For each of your business locations, you list the class code, how many employees fall under it, and the total estimated payroll for that group. Get this. A single wrong digit in that class code can totally throw off your quote. Accuracy here is the key to getting a fair price. Now we get to pages 3 and 4, which I like to call the safety pop quiz. This section is basically a bunch of yes or no questions that give the underwriter a quick snapshot of your day-to-day operational risks, the stuff that goes beyond just payroll numbers. For example, one of the first questions you'll see is a big one. Do you use subcontractors? If the answer is yes, the underwriter immediately wants to know more. How do you manage that risk? Do you make sure they have their own insurance? It's a key piece of the puzzle. Here's another classic they're always going to ask. Does any of your work happen at serious heights or depths? I mean, it's pretty obvious that working on a roof is a whole different ballgame than sitting at a desk, and your premium has to reflect that reality. Now, this next question, it's a biggie. Has your business had coverage declined, canceled, or non-renewed in the past 3 years? If you have to check yes, an underwriter's next thought is immediately going to be why. Was it because you didn't pay the bill? Or was it because of a ton of claims? The story behind that yes is everything. And that brings us to the golden rule for this whole section, so listen up. A yes answer is not a deal breaker. But you know what is? A yes with no explanation. Underwriters fully expect to see yes answers. Your job is to be totally transparent and just explain the situation. Leaving it blank is a massive red flag. Okay, let's talk about the secret weapon. If your business has been insured before, this is for you. We're talking about loss run reports. If your application tells the story of your business, think of loss runs as the cold, hard proof that backs it all up. So what is a loss run report? It's basically your business's insurance report card. It's an official document from your previous insurance carriers that shows your entire claims history, what happened, when it happened, and how much it cost. It is single-handedly the best way to prove you run a safe, low-risk operation.
So, how do you get your hands on them? It's actually really simple. You or your agent just need to send a written request to your old carriers. You'll need to include your policy number and authorize them to release the report. Just a heads up, state laws often give carriers a couple of weeks to send these over, so definitely plan ahead.
And the difference this makes, it's night and day. Seriously, an application with 3 to 5 years of loss runs builds instant trust. It speeds everything up. An application without them, it just raises red flags. It causes delays and often leads to higher quotes because the underwriter has to assume the worst-case scenario.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. A clean, well-completed application isn't just about filling out a form. It's about showing you're a professional. It cuts out all that frustrating back and forth and gets you a fair quote way faster. So let's just quickly recap the most important takeaways. First, your FEIN is your golden ticket. Get it right. Second, be super accurate with your payroll and your class code so you don't overpay. Third, explain every single yes answer, no exceptions. And finally, if you've had coverage before, always include your loss runs. They're your best friend in this process.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Is your application telling the best possible story about your business? Because when you really master the Acord 130, it stops being just a piece of paperwork. It becomes your best opportunity to show off how well you run your company and earn the great rate you actually deserve.